Hi, I'm Chelsea, intern midwife.
I'm Nikki, CPM.
I'm Gail, CPM.
I'm Michelle, and I'm a CPM.
I'm Hannah, and I'm a CPM, and we're Community Midwifery Services.
Gail has been a midwife practicing for 35 years. I've been a midwife practicing for 25 years. In 2003, I took on my first partnership in midwifery, and then in 2004, my second partnership in midwifery, which was Gail, and we've grown from there.
So I was first exposed to birth when my mom delivered my younger sister, and Michelle was actually the midwife at the birth. I was 4 years old with the first birth I saw, and then I saw 7 births after that, actually, and all of them with midwifery care, and that just kind of sparked the fire in me, planted the seed early on, and then I just ended up looking into it once I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I ended up going to a midwifery school, and I was in an overseas clinical location. I was in the Philippines for 2 years, and then I came back and kind of wanted to reconnect with the people that inspired me. So came back to CMS and have been here for about 3 years.
I came to midwifery shortly after the birth of my daughter. I had a midwife care for me in 1986 when I gave birth to my beautiful daughter, and shortly after that began to look at educational opportunities and what I might like to do with my life. And eventually the door to midwifery opened up and I fell in and I started my training in 1991 in Nevada, and then I returned to Oklahoma when I completed my training and opened my practice in 1993 and opened the birth center in 1995.
I first heard of a lady that was having a home birth back in probably 80. And I was just amazed that that woman thought that she could do that. I was, and my questions were, is it legal? How do you have a birth certificate? What about pain medication? All those things. So it just kind of planted a seed. When she birthed and came back and said to me, I'm alive. So I was like, wow. So I said, I've never respected a woman more, because my births were not anything that, that I was happy with. And so I started studying. There was no midwifery, no midwives in Oklahoma that I could find. And but I just started. I did 4 years of just study for courses that I could get. Went to Arkansas, trained, and then met with a midwife in Tulsa, Cobb. And so we practiced some together and then just took off. I had a private practice for years, and then Michelle and I joined our practice back in 2003. I started working in an Amish community back in 30 years ago, which I still work in that Amish community. So I fell into it too. I was an EMT in between that time. So I just studied herbs and became an ND, just anything I could find for wisdom. So I love it, and I'm so thankful that my life has been spent in midwifery.
I have a similar background to Hannah, actually. Midwifery came to me with the birth of my siblings, and actually Gail was my mom's midwife for my 2 youngest siblings. And so at 15, that was the first birth that I attended. There was a home water birth VBAC, which was a big deal back then, just as much as it is today, but pretty amazing for me to see that was just kind of like what you do. You can just go home and have a baby. It's not a big deal. So whenever I guess about 10 years ago is whenever I came to CMS and said, hey guys, train me, teach me, show me what to do. And so I've been here since then, trained as a midwife's assistant, practiced for several years as a birth doula, and now I'm a midwife here with the team. So.
I told Nikki, I said, you're going to be a midwife someday.
She did.
In fact, you're my retirement. So.
She did. She marked me at 15. She looked at me and she said, you're going to be a midwife one day. So here I am.
Yeah. As we say, show a young woman a placenta before she's of a certain age, and you may have given her the bug for life.
Definitely in my case.
Planted the seed.
Yeah.
So.
I came to birth work after the birth of my second child, and I met Gail and Michelle back in 2010 after my third child, and kind of have been here ever since. So I love it. I can't imagine doing anything else. So
We invited her to lunch and
she stayed.
told her that we thought that she was perfect for the team after seeing her at work. It just one birth experience, and we saw what we wanted to see in terms of her ethics and her dedication to her work, and invited her to come on, and she did.
Full force.
By hook or by crook.
Yeah. Actually, everyone in our team is someone that we choose, you know, to be a part of it, because it's a really close relationship.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. I think most
Absolutely.
midwives feel that way about the people that are with them in their births. It's really important to have someone that you respect and trust. So give
We
and
midwife
take.
our clients,
Yeah.
and we midwife each other as well. We certainly want to be that with woman that allows for each of us to practice the trade that we love, you know, without having to sacrifice everything about our health and our own personal lives. And it's really great to have a full tribe in order to make sure that this work gets done well, and also that we are well
Yes, exactly.
while we're
Yeah.
doing it.
Right here is the bulk of our team, but it's not our whole team. We have some fantastic assistants as well too, and each one of them is just as dedicated to our clients and our team as we are. And honestly, there are some days where we're like, how did we do anything before we had this many assistants? It's amazing to be able to, you know, trust everybody that's there with you.
When I first started midwifery, we didn't have access to ultrasounds, we didn't have access to labs, and actually back in that point in time in the 80s, it's like we weren't always welcome at all in a hospital. Sometimes we'd be accepted, and sometimes we would be asked to leave the room. And so, but we also had women, I think back then, that were supremely dedicated to home birth, because they were kind of, you know, like I had a workshop a time with Ida Mae Gaskin, and so I think there were like 30 women at that first workshop that Ida Mae did in Arkansas. So you can see, and now Ida Mae has thousands of women that come, you know, to her. So I think it was just, we all just feel like pioneers. And so I think everybody was really dedicated to it. And our clients are today too, but now we have the things I wish we would have had then, because we can give full spectrum care. Because here at the birth center, we have ultrasounds here in-house. You know, we have a nutritionist, we have a nurse practitioner here. And then, of course, we can do all the labs or anything that we need to do right out of our office. So it's just completely things that I never dreamed. The first Doppler I got was like 5 years after I midwife. And I had a wreck one time, and my first thing was get my Doppler out of the car. So I was like, I gotta have it. I had to save forever to find it. So it's come a long ways, which is wonderful. You know, it's a wonderful thing that we have here. So,
and it has been our goal since the beginning to expand the choices that women might have that would choose to have a baby in a way that's not necessarily in the box, choosing to be at home, choosing to be at the birth center. And it's been very important to us over many, many years of development. Gail and I together, the nurse midwife that we've worked with for many years, and many other midwives, you know, who have been working in this state for, 20 years or more, at expanding those options for women so that they can choose that, but not necessarily turn their back on everything that is to offer in obstetric care in this country. So we try to make sure that we offer a fully comprehensive level of care. And that, I think, as Gail was saying, is one of the biggest changes. I think younger midwives, practicing now, it's just a given that all of those things are available to them. But it was Gail, myself, many other midwives here in the state of Oklahoma that, hit the pavement working to try to make sure that, midwife clients had access to all of their blood screenings and genetic screenings and ultrasounds and access to higher levels of care should something fall outside the range of the scope of a midwife, and I think that's how midwifery has really, I think she says it so eloquently, it's changed so much, and now many things that you take for granted at being there. You know, Gail and I remember when you know,
Well, and I
when
think
we
what's
didn't have
amazing
that
is
opportunity.
just in the 10 years that I've been working with you guys, you know, things like, you know, basic labs and access to ultrasound, I just took that for granted. But what I find really awesome is now we have things like, you know, genetic screening companies that call us and say, hey, we'd love to have, you know, our services available to your clients. Would your clients be interested in what we have to offer? And we're like, yes, please. And, you know, the health department saying, hey, you know, how can we work, you know, with midwives in Oklahoma to make sure all babies are getting all the screenings that they need and make it accessible to the clients, you know, so that they're seeing that, like, we recognize that your clients are wanting all of this opportunity for these choices, and just because you're not choosing to have an epidural doesn't mean that you're deciding to just eschew any other kind of you know side of that.
I think another thing is that, you know, we do work closely with the health department, but back in 1985, then I was one of the co-founders for Oklahoma Midwives Alliance, and then, you know, then we had an educational program, which Michelle headed up for a long time. And so, you know, we've worked for all of Oklahoma midwives to be able to provide it with education and opportunities to practice. And another thing I think is really great is like with the CCHD screening that we offer for people. That wasn't available at all until, when did y'all kind of work on that one?
2015.
2015.
We were able to actually
Yeah.
partner with the health department and physicians in the state to help us translate something that had just become a hospital screening into the home birth arena too very quickly. You know, it was something that just became standard in the hospital in 2014, and then we were able to translate it into the home birth environment shortly thereafter, and that was awesome.
So we're fortunate that we just take care of healthy women, you know. So, you know, that makes it, we do normal. So,
Yes.
and they don't get to do normal in the hospital.
Yeah,
so,
unfortunately, that's not always what
And
they're presented with.
And the most important thing is that we're not cavalier about what we do. We know that this is a serious, you know, experience. You know, it's not like it's no big deal. It is a big deal. You know, a whole person is coming into the world, and that's great. A mother is being born, which is great as well. So it's, you know, while we do love what we do, and we do try to make sure that things stay as uncomplicated as possible, we're not in the practice of keeping anyone out of the hospital that should be in the hospital. And, you know, we're very diligent to make sure the appropriate screenings are done, to make sure that we're not starting at home with somebody or at the birthing center with somebody who would be better served in the hospital or would want that for themselves. So I think that's really important. We love what we do and we smile about it and all of that, but we definitely take it seriously.
Well, I think that's another thing too, because a lot of times we have grandmas and, you know, all family members, and we welcome them and are happy to try to educate the whole family to see that we do have so many options, and safety is our priority. So, and I think most people are pretty impressed when they, you know, you think of a midwife as, you know, boiling chicken bones in the backyard or something, you know, dancing around the fire or something. And I think when they come to a midwife, you know, then they see that actually, you know, we can do have access to a lot of things that are for safety for their family, for the people they love. So
Yeah, it's very reassuring, I think, to most family members.
I think so too.
And we work towards family-centered care.
Yes.
You know, we want even those grandmas, you know, that are here to see the love and the care that goes into caring for their you know, their daughter or their daughter-in-law, you know, that's giving birth. But we also want to make sure that they're doing well, you know, that they're seeing what's happening and they're understanding what's happening beforehand in the prenatal visits and also during the birth, because, you know, obviously if anyone has concerns, whether it be somebody who's a healthcare provider in another arena, or whether it be a family member who has concerns, you know, based on what their own experiences have been, or maybe what they have learned about birth, we want to make sure that we're not belittling their concerns, that we're answering them with respect and kindness, and
Because I'm a grandma,
letting them know.
and I know how
Well,
that
and
feels.
that's, you know,
You're always
There
the
you
one that's
go.
like, has somebody told the
Has
grandma the
somebody
baby
talked
is
to the-
here?
Right.
Does the grandma know? Yeah.
Grandma
Did you call?
needs to
Have
know.
you called your
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty important.
But
so.
it's really important to us
Yeah.
that that all the family members feel like they can be heard, and that they can ask any question that they want to ask, and that we're going to be, really open to helping them
I'm happy to have them.
understand.
Yeah, we
exactly
love
what's going
the
on and what the
family
focus
Yeah,
experience.
we love
is.
to educate the whole family
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
bring everyone into the experience. It
Yeah.
reassures the mom, it reassures, the whole family unit's important, and that's a huge part of our job even during labor and the whole process, postpartum, making sure we bring everybody in and everyone
Yes.
feels welcome and part of it. And I love that.
Yeah, it's a part of his family history. When you walk away, this is a piece of it.
Yeah.
You know? So, and it's so wonderful when you can share and say, I was with my family member or my sister, my daughter, whatever it is, to be there. Because that's something, they remember us and we're in their life somehow, but they carry that on throughout their life. And
Those are
that's their
lifelong
story, and that's that
relationships,
child's birth story. So it goes on and on. So it's pretty impressive, when, those of us who've been in midwifery a long time, we get a call from somebody that's, 35 years old. It's like,
I didn't.
am I that old? If you're 35, what does that make me? So, 20. And we do, we have people come in, we get graduation announcements from college. And, we're just like, what?
Well, even
Not quite
the,
there yet.
the few doula clients I had whenever I was a teenager, because I did start doula
Yeah.
training when I was 16. I mean, they're like
Yeah,
graduating and
exactly.
going to college, and I'm like, you're not old enough for that.
Yeah, it's fun, and you're a part of their life, though. So, and you keep that in mind when you're caring for someone.
Yeah.
You're a big piece of that. So,
Yeah.
big piece of their history. So, gosh, everyone has something special. So,
Yeah. I think branching
Yeah.
off of what Gail was talking about, being a part of their story, we recently had a mom that was adopted and had
I love
never
this.
actually known any of her biological family. And so one of the first things she said to her daughter when she was born is, "You are the first person I am related to."
oh, I
And
love
so,
that.
Yeah, she
Great.
said,
The
"You're
whole
the
birth
first
team was in
person
tears.
that
Yeah.
She said, "You're the first person I've ever met
Yeah.
that I am
That I am
related
I'm
related
to."
related to. Yeah.
So that's super touching, and it's an honor to be
Yeah.
just a witness to that. So, I mean, she became a mother in so many ways that time. So,
Yeah, it really made her and her partner a family right there.
Yes.
They were already a
Yes.
family,
Family,
but to
yeah.
really
Yeah.
like be able to make her family.
and
her-
you don't know like what each birth means for each family, but that was a transformative moment that I never anticipated to come across.
That's a
So,
good
I mean,
one.
to
Yeah.
just stand back and say, "Yep," and to honor that space, to allow them to have that quiet moment without people interrupting and taking your baby over here. She got that moment with her child, and her husband together.
Don't you think that is one of those defining moments, I think, as a midwife, that you come to where you do have that true realization that this is not your experience,
Yeah.
that you are witness to someone else's strength, to their miracle, to their emotion. And so we need to always remember as practitioners that we are very important in the situation, but many times the most important thing that we can do is to step backwards so that, yes, our hands can be truly helpful, but so that this couple and this family know that midwifery is not a face. It's not a face. It is a model of care. That means that any one of our faces that are there in that moment, our hands are there to be truly helpful, and we want to protect their ability to move through their birth experience and know that it was a family experience.
Yeah, because it's their journey, and it's really interesting that we find out later. It's like what it meant to them and how
Yeah.
life-changing it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Some experience that they had, in their lifetime, but this made them, one lady said to me, this makes me a whole person.
yeah.
It's like this
Yeah.
fulfills me, it makes me whole.
Yeah, and
So-
half the time
Yeah.
they don't even know what it's
No.
going to be
No.
either. And so we just walking along with
Yeah.
them through that
That's right.
is just such a privilege, and it's something that not many people get to be that intimately involved in
Right.
someone's life
Yeah.
in such a significant way that I just feel like it's such an honor and blessing. Every time I step back and think about it,
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, wow, it's amazing.
It
Every
gets
time
you.
it's like,
Yeah.
it gets me every now and then.
It's humbling.
Yeah,
It is.
It is very
Yeah.
humbling.
I can't imagine doing
It
anything
should.
else.
It
It's
should be very
amazing.
humbling.
Yes,
Yeah.
a
It
midwife
is.
is
Yeah.
a servant to the family.
I remember whenever one of the very first births that Gail and I did together, it was a doula client of mine who was like, man, my last birth back in Washington, I had a midwife, and I just don't know if there's any midwives around here. And I was like, I know one. And I was like, let me hook you up, And so we did the birth together, and it was a very quick and beautiful birth. And I was just like on this birth high. It was probably the first dozen births I'd done, and Gail looked at me and said, don't let the oxytocin go to your head, because the thing of it is that it's amazing and it's such an honor and it's such a rush, but it also means that it's such a sacred thing, and you really need to be able to like step back and go, okay,
This is about
they
the
think that
family.
I'm the greatest human being that walked
Yeah.
the planet because I happened to be in the
Yeah.
room when they had this amazing experience, and if I
Yeah.
contributed in a positive way, then that's great, but that doesn't mean that I'm not any more than just a servant to the
I think
process.
I also said, in taxi cab drivers catch babies.
They do, and
So, you know what?
Yeah.
taxi cab drivers do it occasionally, more than often
Yes.
than not in the
Yes.
Philippines, actually.
Yeah.
Very frequently we're on the Philippines.
Well, there's that also thing that we think about sometimes, we're, the importance, we have our roles, but it's not the important factor. But sometimes after a birth, when you're walking away and in tears, maybe because it was hard or difficult or scary, and then you see the responsibility. It's like, and then I think I said to Nikki one time, it's like we resuscitated a baby and we had a good outcome. And then I said to her, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, a librarian.
I did. I was like, tomorrow I might still want to be a midwife. Today I'm going to go
Today I want to be a
put in an application to be a librarian.
So there's those times. It's not all, it's a hard job, and it's a huge job, and it's a beautiful job, but it's not an easy job. So I think every midwife can tell you that. By every birth you walk in that door, you have no idea what you're walking into, and you have to leave your problems behind. You have to focus on this family, and that's the thing that you give up sometimes, is you have to walk away from your family. And in a group practice, we fortunately don't have to do that, because if we're having a hard time or a loss or sickness in the family, we can call and say, I'm not up for it right now. But in private practice, if you're in that private practice, and I was a long, long time, and you walk away and your kids are crying and begging not to go, you're just, it's like, I have to go. So it's just the way it is. So it's a great thing, but it's a hard job.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
Another reason why our practice here as a group practice and a true group model where we share every duty, it's so important to us so that we can continue to do this thing that's so important but also heavy.
yeah.
And support each other through it, so we get to fill our cup in between. That's something I think that's really important. We get to be able to do this.
And we get to pull on each other's wisdom. That's something I love as a new
Yeah,
midwife.
definitely.
That I get to
Cool.
go to Michelle or Gail or Nikki and ask. We all kind of have our different things we are specialize in and are good at. So I love being able to ask them about things and consult on any question I have. I can call anybody. I can call anyone in the middle of the night. As
That's
I have
right.
done.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
what do I do about this?
Yeah,
And just we have all of these minds and we use them all and we use them all collectively. And I love that.
Yeah, and we're consulting with each other about clients that we all share. So
Exactly.
it's not like every one of us knows the history, knows their needs, their preferences, all of that, so that when we're talking it through, we can very quickly get to the point. I mean, it's really nice to be able to have that. And I think it's nice for the
Remind
clients.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Remember.
nice for the clients as well, knowing that anybody and everybody that they could encounter that would be taking care of them has been a part of their care.
Knows them, knows
Throughout.
their situation, knows their face. Yeah. All of
Yeah,
that.
and knows that they have somebody else to ask
Exactly.
if they're running a blank.
If I don't know, someone here will know.
Somebody will. Yeah, we can call and find out.
We'll find someone who does.
I mean, it's been a blessing through my training and this whole process to be able to take something from all of them. They've helped contribute something to help me become who I need to be in this practice. So, and they also give me that space to grow into it.
We've all grown.
So-
And as the practice has grown,
gosh.
we've all grown.
You never
too.
and you never stop growing
Yeah.
and
No.
learning. So
No. Yeah, so as a group, we offer both home birth and birth center experiences. Those are based on mom's preferences or needs. Some women choose to give birth in their homes because that's where they feel the most comfortable, that's where their family is most comfortable, and that works well for them. Others feel like coming to the birth center is a better plan. Maybe it's just culturally they feel more comfortable getting up and going somewhere. Maybe it's because they prefer to leave their family at their home, to care for their kids and come here for a little bit of private time.
sometimes they think it's going to be a mess. They don't want to clean it
Sometimes
up.
they think it's going to be a mess and they don't want to clean it up.
And it's not.
And
Yeah.
we clean up anything that is messy.
That's right.
But yes, it's strictly based on the mom's preferences. If they're birthing at home, they're going to have their prenatal care, birthing at home or birthing at the birth center, they're going to have their prenatal care here the same as they would any other time. We have a Norman facility, which we're in now, and that's where the birthing center is. We have a satellite office in Shawnee, and we have a satellite office in Northwest Oklahoma City, so that our clients that live in different areas of the state can have a more convenient place to receive their prenatal care. We provide complete comprehensive care, any type of screens or procedures, pregnancy-related care that they might receive anywhere else, we offer here, but it's laid out more like a menu. They'll choose the things that they feel like are priorities to them, or the things that they want to do. Ultrasound is an example. Maybe somebody wants ultrasounds all the time, and maybe sometimes they only want one. So we talk through what their preferences are, and then also what their needs are based on their history. So they can expect that kind of care throughout. We spend an hour each time they come for their visits. We go through all of the information that they need to make choices about those screenings and tests and procedures during pregnancy. We talk through birth preferences. We also spend time answering any questions or concerns that they might have, so that we're sure that all of their questions are answered whenever they go. And then we do the full, physical kind of exam where measure baby, listen to baby, blood pressure, urine, that sort of thing. If there's anything that I feel like is really a major strength in our practice is we do a lot of nutritional counseling. We look at food as medicine first. And so if somebody is encountering a problem or if it's just from their first visit, we start talking to them about how families can take care of their pregnant person and make sure that they are meeting the pregnancy with everything that they need. We explore different kinds of nutritional deficiencies that might need to be addressed to help women enjoy their pregnancy.
I think the one thing important to us about that too is that we're hoping to change that family dynamic if they don't have good nutrition, so that their children, they're passing it on to their children. So, and I think that we've seen that because people
Right.
say when we first came to you, 12 years ago, we ate, didn't have a good diet. And then after following our guidelines for a while, they've changed their whole family, and it,
Yes.
sometimes.
And just like
Members.
like our prenatal testing and things like that, I like the fact that we've learned to take the core and then adapt it to families. Like, we've learned so much more about like gluten-free and our vegetarian moms, and we have families that have religious restrictions, in their diets. And I just think it's so much fun to kind of, it's almost like a little bit of a puzzle to be able to say, how can we help this family, if they need nutritional counseling, but also stay within, their own dietary needs and
Or budget.
Or budget, yeah,
otherwise,
exactly.
We really do see that as important. I think when people know how to take care of themselves, even if they take 5-6 steps, if they don't buy the whole cow,
Yeah.
they take 5 or 6 steps,
Yeah.
it makes a difference. And so empowering people to understand that, what they can do to invest in the health of their baby and invest in the health of their pregnancy. That doesn't mean that we're, that we carry a big stick around, or that I'm not drinking hot chocolate, which I am. It just means that, we help people to understand how to balance those things. So that's something that they can expect. Whether they birth at home or birth at the birthing center, we usually have 2 to 3 members of our team at every birth. That ensures that mom has all of the time and attention that she needs from her birth team, but it also means that the birth team can we can also lean on each other and
and
make sure that we're on our game
We're
as
sending
much
out
as
the
possible.
freshest person, the person that slept the night before,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
has
all
an
of
awake
that.
mind, all of that.
Yes. All of our staff members have been trained in birth support work, like doula work, and all of that before they ever come to us. And our assistants are trained as assistant midwives, not just as a midwife, an assistant to the midwife. We make sure that everybody's hands-on skills are equal to each other's. So that, of course we all have titles, but we try not to run on a hierarchy here. We just want to be a fully functioning team.
Yep.
NRP, CPR, everyone
Yeah.
is trained in that.
Birth preferences are something that it's different for every woman, and we look at a birth plan like a roadmap. And that our job is to understand what's important to the family, important to the mother, important to the partner, important to siblings, and that sort of thing, so that we can tailor any kind of comfort measures that we can around that.
And with comfort measures, here at the birth center, we have both of our birthing suites have tubs. We have water births here all the time. It's
Yes.
awesome. But, we also talk to families about when they're at home, if a mom is wanting a water birth option, we prepare in advance. Is your bathroom and bathtub going to be a good place? If not, let's make sure you've got a birthing pool and talk about that too. So, there really is,
Making a plan for the best.
And
place in the
adapting to each
best
mom.
options for all those different types of, comfort measures and things.
Yeah, and I would say, another thing is we get asked a lot of questions when people come in for consultations. I don't want to be separated from my baby. I don't want the cord cut until it's done pulsing. I want bonding time with my baby before weights and measures. All of those are things that we pretty much standardly do, unless there's some reason why we need to act on a concern. So those things are really easy to get through in the consultation. It's more talking
Everyone
about
gets that.
what all the options are. And and then I would say that the other really important part of our practice, besides the prenatal care and what people can expect, is a tremendous amount of postpartum support. I think that prenatal care is so very important. We have a saying that it's in the care, not the catch. So it's really that whole number of months leading up to the birth and all of that care that can lead to a positive experience for the mom. But also the birthday is not the last day. It's the birth day. It's not the carry-on, the rest of the carry-on for what moms go through during in their postpartum time.
So we offer really extensive postpartum care. We do a 24-hour home visit where we check vitals of the baby, check on mom, and we do a pulse oximetry screening on the baby. And then we do a 3-day home visit to 3 to 5 day visit to address breastfeeding concerns and to again do a whole physical exam on baby, check on mom, answer any questions, and those can range anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half, as long as parents may need. And then we do a 6-week visit, a 2-week visit, a 6-week, a 9-week, and a 12-week. So we do very extensive long-term postpartum care, and all of those are taking a lot of time to really answer all the questions.
And at 2 weeks, we do.
And at 2 weeks we do a hearing screening on the baby, and we also do a metabolic screening. So all of those visits are really tailored to what the family needs, and as long as they need to ask all the questions they may have, work through breastfeeding concerns. They're very individual to the individual needs of each postpartum mom because they're always different.
The thing I find interesting is a lot of times at the 6-week visit, traditionally, it's been, okay, everybody's doing good. Let's talk about your family planning choices and things like that. And a lot of moms still at 6 weeks are kind of like,
I'm not.
that's okay. I'm not ever going to have sex again anyway, so it's fine. We don't have to talk about it, But there's something about 9 weeks or 12 weeks, especially if moms are returning to work at 6 weeks, they can come back at 9 weeks and go, okay, so this pumping at work thing, I need some more tips.
Yeah.
Or hey, what are we going to do for family planning? What are our options?
And the stay-at-home moms are like, I want an adult to talk to.
Yes, exactly. Let's have an adult conversation.
9 and 12 weeks is like, can you talk to me as an adult?
So we also offer additional breastfeeding support as needed, either in home or even at the office. A lot of times, sometimes we'll go in at day 3 and everything's doing great, and then maybe day 5 mom has questions. We also evaluate every one of our babies for tongue ties and lip ties, because that is a lot of times an underlying condition that really can affect the mom's breastfeeding relationship with her baby and baby's weight gain and other future complications. So
having those additional areas that moms receive their postpartum support, with Nikki doing craniosacral therapy, Chelsea being a breastfeeding educator. One of our assistants is also a breastfeeding educator and a childbirth educator, and she has 8 children.
She's got all the experience.
And Hannah, having her experience with her mom, being a mom of many kids and things like that, she's very sensitive to mothers that have large families.
Their needs, their unique needs.
Gail does craniosacral therapy as well, but
all of our moms get a free craniosacral treatment during pregnancy. So it's, and then all of our babies get one, on one of their visits as well, and more if needed. So
we're able to provide that extended postpartum care as well, so that almost all of the issues that our moms face in postpartum that might be challenging to them can be handled in-house by the same care providers that have been working with them throughout their pregnancy, throughout their birth experience, and into the postpartum.
Creates a really great continuity. I mean that's the whole point of midwife, means with woman, and it doesn't stop once your baby's born. You know what I mean? There's so much beyond that too.
And again, not to keep saying it, but the group practice really does help with that, because it means that whether it be in your pregnancy, whether it be in your labor, or whether it be in your postpartum, we always have somebody available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day to talk to you about whatever's going on. And even if we have other moms that are needing attention at the same time, no one really has to wait or sit on a problem for very long before we have somebody to sort of attend to their concerns or their needs, even hands-on needs, and additional home visits if necessary, additional office visits if necessary. We want to make sure that everybody is doing well in the family, not just surviving their postpartum experience.
Well, I'll go first because particularly because Gail and myself are body workers. Something that's really, I think, important for prenatally as well as postpartum is body care, meaning chiropractic care, craniosacral therapy, exercise, acupuncture. This is so important for how you don't have to be miserable in your pregnancy. You can feel vital and healthy and energetic and vibrant. So take care of your whole body, your whole structure, and pairing up with some of the fabulous chiropractors in the state, some great acupuncturists, what we do with the CST, that's a huge part, prenatally and in the postpartum as well too.
I think emotional self-care.
Oh, I was going to do that one.
So, and that can be taking a bath, like just 5 minutes even by yourself, or, pairing it up with exercise, like a 20-minute walk with your partner, so that you guys can get some one-on-one time, because even if it's your first baby or it's your 8th baby, 10th baby, like you kind of need that bonding time and good open communication so that you guys have a strong emotional foundation together.
That's smart. That's really, really important. I think it's like you think about it's a physical experience birth is, but it's super important, the emotional and spiritual part of it. And so I think we all try to just always really focus on, you're healthy, everything looks really good, so how are you doing emotionally with this, And so I agree and communication with your partner.
And we check in too. That's part of it, And if we feel like
every appointment,
we want to make sure you're doing okay.
Yeah. And postpartum depression we watch. But as far as nutrition and just general well-being, I think. But it depends on what stage. Like if you're sick initially, you have a lot of nausea and you can't eat. I mean, just assurance of the first time mom that comes in and she's like 10 weeks and she can't eat, and so it's things like reassuring her about the egg yolk sac that she didn't know about, that's going to provide superpower nutrition for her baby in those first weeks, even though that she can't do it. So they always go, oh, that's good, it's just good to know, because they worry about that. So I think just reassurance and of the things that they need to know that they can do, however small it is, for a healthy pregnancy, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So.
All right. Well, I'll get down to the brass tacks.
Okay. Go for it.
A good food-based vitamin. Making sure that they're taking a supplement for pregnancy that works for them. There are a number of situations where you might choose one vitamin over another for a person, so finding out the supplements that would be right for you to make sure you have everything to grow, rather than just the drugstore over-the-counter kind of things, and then knowing which foods to choose from when it comes to organic foods and GMO foods and things like that. So I think that that's a really important thing, is to look at those basics.
And we have a handout that everybody gets that has all that information in it.
Yeah, so that would be a tip.
Yeah.
Getting a good food-based vitamin
Yeah.
and making sure that it's right for you based on your own needs.
I think so many of our moms get really focused on the birth and they plan so much, and this is universal to probably all moms. They focus so much, prepare, they read all the books, and they take so much care to just make sure they know everything about every possibility.
And their guest list.
Exactly, and their guest list, and they have all the people that are going to be there and their responsibilities during the labor, and a doula, and that's fantastic. But then postpartum kind of falls by the wayside, and I think just like planning for your birth, you need to plan for your postpartum. Have people in place with a job, with specific roles that they are going to fill, like if that's bringing you food, if that's doing the laundry, if that's taking care of your kids. And planning that, getting it concrete, making a postpartum plan, and then actually contacting those people to fill those roles, asking people if they would be willing to be part of your postpartum team, and creating a place for yourself where you can thrive postpartum and not just survive or be asking people later and feeling bad about asking people to come, but set that up ahead of time and really prepare for that, so you really can set you up for success instead of just trying to piece it together after you have a baby and you're struggling and you feel like you're underwater and don't have anywhere to go and no help. So that's a big thing.
Yeah,
Is
and
planning your
continue
postpartum.
that good nutrition during postpartum
yeah.
is super important.
Yeah.
Vitamins and good nutrition. So.
And don't feel bad
Yeah.
that if someone comes over
Yeah.
to visit you and your new baby, ask them for help,
Mm-hmm.
because they want to help. They just don't really know
what
what
to do.
Yeah, they
need
don't
you
know.
have. And everybody loves that clear communication. I would love if you could help me rotate the laundry.
Yep.
Anything. So,
Ask
Yes.
for what you need.
yes.
Yes.
No guessing.